Today's video I'm going to do a repot of my Zelkova that I recently purchased from Bonsai Northwest. Bought this beautiful pot right here. I love the glaze on it. The copper color, bronzy color will complement the leaves well in the fall. And I love the shape of it. So we're going to try to get this guy over here and this pot today. Then do some work. Or a little bit anyways. I've already cleaned it up a little bit. So let's get started. So Zelkovas are actually native to Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. They can reach a height of 30 meters or 100 feet. And typically they're developed into a very characteristic broom-style shape with a straight trunk that fans out into many branches and twigs. This Zelkova was from Bonsai Northwest, and it was definitely a field-grown tree that has had some root work done and then all the major branches chopped off. So it was getting into the stage of refinement. The good thing about this tree was that it had been establishing its roots pretty well in this large pot that I pulled it out of. The one bad thing, though, was that it was sitting too high in the pot because the taproot wasn't cut very flush, and there was still a good 2-3 inches that had to be cut off. Initially, I tried to use the saw on this thing, and I worked myself into exhaustion, so I gave up and I went for the concave cutter, which actually worked much faster at nibbling away that taproot to a flat and shorter size. It took a little bit of time, but it was well worth it because once I was done, I was able to sit straight and sit lower in the pot. You'll see here. Here, I trimmed off a lot of that taproot, and I'm testing it out inside of the bonsai pot just to see how it looks, what might be the best front for it, and how much more root I felt like needed to be trimmed off prior to, adding soil and then tying it down. I wasn't too happy about how high it was sitting, so I went back and I nibbled away again at that taproot until I was able to take off about another ½ inch. Now it's time to prepare the pot. I placed the Zelkova in some water because I've had it exposed for about 30-40 minutes, in dry air. So I didn't want it to desiccate any of those roots. And here I'm just adding some of the old soil that it was in. It's still very usable. The soil was made up of pumice, lava rock, and a little bit of peat in there as well. This is the pretty typical mix that I can get at that bonsai store that I always go to, Bonsai Northwest. And of course, no need to go anywhere special to collect my moss. There's plenty fine in the cracks of my patio. So this was actually a really good excuse to clean the patio as well as collect some moss that I know does well in my yard. Of course, while you're picking moss up, you gotta clean it to get rid of any of the weeds that might be stuck inside of it. The last thing you want to do is put some popping weeds in your bonsai. It just looks terrible. Now once I had the moss in place, I gave the tree a dunk. Real slowly, and the last thing I want to do is, cause all that moss that took a long time to set, to float up to the surface, by dunking it too quickly. So, real nice and slow, even though that water was freezing cold. I think the air temperature is around 42, 43 at the time. And once it's waterlogged, it felt like a ton. Okay, here's the finished product. I'm really happy with it. I think the pot looks really good with this particular tree. I did break a few small branches in the process, but nothing major and nothing that can't be regrown. So this is the Zelkova. I think it looks really good. And I'm happy that it all worked out well. I've had some bad accidents with repotting before. So this should make it. There's plenty of roots. Nothing was frozen, nothing broke off that I didn't want broken off. And we'll follow up with this tree once it leaves out.